Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. This is a vent post, so I hope you won't mind listening to me venting. Also, this happened a few years ago. A lot of time has passed since then. I am going to graduate from college after a few months and am now working at a really nice company as an intern. Even though it is a bit hard, the pay is really good. So I have been managing everything quite well. As for now, I don't have much contact with my parents, but I still am in contact with my cousin, father's nephew. Names have been changed. Before I went off to college, my parents agreed that they were going to pay for my college. Since we were rich, upper middle class, my parents never said that they would have any trouble paying or they were not going to pay for my college. I really wanted to have a normal college experience and meet new people and enjoy myself. After completing a semester in college, my parents called me and said that they won't be able to pay for my college anymore. They said that my college tuition was too much for them to pay and was being a huge burden on them, so they were not going to pay for it anymore. According to them, my grades were not worth the amount of money they paid, even though I got B's in most of my classes and only one C. And trust me, when I say they were not lying, they not only stopped paying for tuition, but also stopped sending me extra money for daily expenditure. I called them up again and begged them to pay for my college as it was too much for me to manage all on my own. They said that they did not have any money and said that I either have to manage on my own or drop out of college. I was very angry. See, I'm not trying to act like a spoiled brat here, but my parents are the one at fault here. When I was in high school, many of my friends started working part time jobs or did some freelancing gigs so that they could save up some money for college. I too wanted to work. I told my parents that I was going to look for jobs so that I could save some money for college as tuition was too high. And I did not want to burden them. I also wanted to have some experience. But they were the ones who stopped me. They said that they had enough money saved for my college tuition. They said that they were going to handle the money matter and asked me to focus on studying and getting good grades and getting into a good college. I did not try to fight them and rebel against them for a few days, but eventually gave in as I did not want anything to stop me from my academics. So they convinced me to not take up any jobs and only focus on my academic performance. Also, just to let you all know, I was always good academically, but going to college straight after high school was not the right decision. I should have taken a gap year or something. After going to college, my mental health was really bad. I was not able to mix up with the others and had a really hard time catching up on classes. I also did not have any friends, so things got even harder. That was the reason why I wasn't able to get good grades. After my parents said that they were not going to pay my tuition or even help me out with it, I decided to get a loan. I did not get a loan that would cover my full course, but only half, and ended up taking multiple jobs to pay for the part the loan could not cover. I worked really hard, but it was fine. Everything was going that way until one day when I saw my cousin, Daniel, in the same campus as me. I knew he was the same age as me, but the last time he talked to me, he said that he had no plan of going to college. I reached out to him, and after I asked him, he said that my parents were the ones who were sponsoring him. So he thought it would be a good idea to attend college as he was basically studying for free. I was furious. I could not believe that the same parents who told me that they were going to stop paying my college tuition were willingly paying for my cousin's college tuition. I knew they always liked my cousin. My cousin, father's brother's son, did not have a great childhood. His mother left when he was a kid, and his father, my uncle, was never really home, so my parents would take care of him. They have always been biased toward him, and I knew it. But I never thought that they would go so far. I was really angry. The next weekend, I visited my parents and asked them again why were they unable to pay my college tuition. They again repeated the same reason as before. I told them that I saw my cousin in my college and he said that they were the ones who were paying for his college tuition. They were shocked and could not say anything for some time. They said that my uncle had entrusted my cousin's responsibility to my parents, and he had better potential than me, so they thought that paying for my cousin's college tuition was better than mine. According to them, it was a better investment. He was a good talent that my parents did not want to waste. I could not believe that they considered my education to be less important than my cousin's. I mean, I understand that my cousin is more talented than me. He is also good academically and also in extracurriculars. But I am their own child, and that guy did not even go to college to begin with. I was so done with them. I told them that if they were really going to choose my cousin over me, I was going to cut contact with them. No matter what, I am their child, and I should be their priority. I'm not hating my cousin, but then again, I could not help but stop blaming him for what my parents did. Throughout my childhood, I had a very hard time because my parents would force me to study all the time. They would only give me a few hours off per week to hang out with my friends. Later, I thought that they did all of that because they wanted me to be a hard-working adult who worked for everything he had. But I was wrong. They wanted me to do good because they did not want to look bad in front of their other relatives. After that day, I ended up not going to my parents' place again. Am I the a-hole for cutting my parents off because they paid my cousin's tuition instead of mine? You all seem to be interested about what happened later, so I decided to post an update. Many of you know about my relationship with my cousin. We are good. He is a really nice guy. So, after he came to know that my parents paid for his college tuition instead of mine, he came to me and apologized. He also offered to help me in whatever way, as he had a part time job too. I was grateful, but told him that everything was under control and I would be able to manage everything on my own, even though I was struggling really badly. I have been in contact with him for a long time now, and we even hang out from time to time. Something happened a few days ago, and I really need some advice, so here I am. A few days ago, my parents called me up and asked me if they could stay with me for some time. My parents' place was being renovated, and they did not want to bother any of their friends or stay at a hotel. They felt like staying with me would be the best option, as they haven't seen their lovely son in a long time. Just so you all know, I stay in a small apartment and have a job now, so I have already graduated from college, but I still have to pay off my student loan. I really don't want them to stay with me. I know that as soon as they enter my place, they will start talking shit about it. I really don't know what to do. Can you all help me out? Can you all suggest what I should be doing? I really don't want them to stay here, but again, whenever I try to refuse them, they continue to push the matter. After taking all of your suggestions into consideration, I finally told my parents that I was not going to let them stay with me. Of course, they were really very angry and called me all sorts of things: disappointment, failure, dumbass, a-hole. You get the idea. But I told them that no matter what they were going to say, I was not letting them stay with me, just like they refused to pay my college tuition. When I brought up the college tuition thing, they said that I was being an ungrateful and selfish brat who did not know how to let go of things. They also said other horrible things to me, but they don't really affect me as much as they did when I was young, and I'm really grateful for that. Also, I am so grateful to see you all being so encouraging and supportive. You are all so damn comforting. I am really grateful for all of your great suggestions and words of encouragement. Thank you for helping me out when I needed your help. NTA, your parents are being manipulative and toxic. It's wrong for someone to say that they will financially support you and then suddenly decide to back down from what they agreed to do. You did not do the wrong thing by cutting them off. I know it might feel like it is a very difficult thing to do at first, but after some time you will feel much better. NTA, no, you are doing just fine. But I just want to tell you that there is no need to abruptly cut off your parents. Instead, you can contact them less and be less personal with them. You can slowly loosen your ties with them instead of cutting ties with them. NTA, no, you are not the a hole, but I do think that it was too rash of you to cut off your parents. Instead, you could have taken a more subtle way to create distance between you and your parents. There was no need to cut off your parents all of a sudden, but I guess it's okay and I respect your decision. My husband's work schedule is 7 days on, 7 days off. I hate having him away that long, and myself and our kids look forward to his off week to have him home. Unfortunately, his employers don't share that sentiment, and it's not uncommon for them to call him on his off week to do a small job they can't find anyone else for, or go to a local yard to help prepare for a job. He gets OT for these calls. He already makes decent enough money, but he says the extra help gives him wiggle room. His company is pretty good getting days off for important events in the kids' lives and special days, but I get fed up with him getting a call for one extra job every other time he's home. This past week was his off week. Lo and behold, Friday night he gets a call from his manager about going in on Sunday to do some prep for a job they'd be doing on Monday night. I was mad and started to loudly complain while he was on the phone about how it'd be nice if he worked for a company that wanted their employees to see their families as much as possible. I went on that I didn't need my husband home to watch the kids so I could go out with my girlfriends that afternoon, and that obviously dinner and a movie as a family that night wasn't nearly as important as whatever his company needed, and couldn't wait until his actual work week started. I unloaded pretty much every grievance I have with this company. He went outside to finish the call. When he came back in, he told me he got taken off that job and put on another one that starts later in the week. I thought that would be a good thing and make him happy, but he said no because he lost a good bonus ticket and will barely make his hours losing those 2 days. He said we've had this conversation before, and if I want to continue being a stay at home mom, then that means he has to work the hours he does just to break even, and every extra hour he can pick up helps. I don't think I did anything wrong, though, because what wife doesn't want her husband home as much as possible? Not to mention his job should be mindful that he's a father and should be a father first, their employee second. AITA? I have talked to him about this before, and he says that he talked to his boss. Supposedly they call him as a last resort, but I just find that hard to believe since it happens so often. YTA, 7 days off is a blessing that not many get. You can't be unprofessional when talking to any employer like that, and you made him look bad. You should have calmly talked to your husband about it when he was done on the phone. Also, if you just needed him to watch the kids so you can go see friends, how is that spending time with him? If he is the only source of income for your family, you need to allow him to work whenever it is available to him. YTA, I would be mortified if my partner started complaining loudly while I was speaking to my manager on the phone the way you did. You've got to remember that it is him taking the calls on his week off. Just because he is your husband and a father doesn't mean that week still doesn't belong to him. If he's still spending time with you as a family, this shouldn't be an issue since he's working his ass off to support you as a stay at home mom. If you can't accept that, get a job and help him pay the bills. I, 24 female, have a brother, 32. He's got 5 kids, kind of. 14 female, male, 9 female, 1 male, 16 female, Rachel. My grandmother passed when I was 16. She'd always promised him she would leave her home behind for him if she passed on. That is, until the year before she passed. He cut contact with her because she didn't help him with money. So she left it to me. I came out as bi when I was 14. My family stopped talking to me. My mother disowned me, and so I had no choice but to move in with an uncle I barely knew. I married my wife 3 years ago. 2 years ago, I still didn't contact any family, but my brother's daughter, Rachel, reached out to me that year. She was asking for a place to stay, said she came out as gay and got disowned by my brother. I drove 200 kilometers to pick her up. She didn't have anything with her, not even a hair tie. When I brought her home, I shared some of my things with her, and the next day I made sure to go buy her things she'd need. I enrolled her into an online school because we live far from any schools, and I got her a psychologist. About a year later, my brother contacted. He was asking me for a place to stay. I told him he could come stay with us. I tried making space for them by clearing out 3 rooms, one for my brother, the rest so children could share. He and his other children often cornered Rachel. They only got worse with each second they stayed with me. His children were loud. They were constantly arguing. They kept breaking things. His children would constantly terrorize my dog, etc. This all continued for 6 months. My wife and I went out on a trip for a week. She had a business trip, and her boss said I could come. About 2 days after we arrived at the resort, Rachel called us crying. She told us we needed to go home ASAP. We did. We came back to my brother, having painted his room, his children's rooms, saying they should get to make themselves feel at home. Rachel had told them that my wife and I were more family to her than they were during a dispute, which resulted in them withholding her PS from her, one of the twins stealing her makeup and blocking her from any source of entertainment. I threw my brother and his children out the moment I saw what was going on. I refused to let them back in. My brother claimed that the house was supposed to be his. I should add, I asked Rachel before letting them move in. I would not have let them come if she didn't want them here. Because I did not go into detail, I didn't think it was a good idea. When my brother reached out to me, I consulted Rachel first and foremost. This was supposed to be in the post, but I had a limited word count. I asked Rachel whether or not she wanted me to let him stay for a while or move out. She said she wanted to try and fix things with her father. Of course, I asked her whether or not she was sure. I reminded her that the moment she said she wanted them out, she'd be out. Of course, I do agree with you. I should have just ignored him and presented that he didn't reach out. Rachel suffered, and there isn't much I can do about that now other than try to be there for her. Copied response to someone else. So, AITA? I'm going to get absolutely downvoted to hell for this. But yeah, fine. NTA for what you directly asked in the title. YTA for everything else, though. Why in the ever-living heck did you think it was a good idea to allow the family that disowned Rachel to move in with you all the while Rachel was also living with you? I cannot believe for even a second that she was ever okay with that and did not tell you about it. Also, you threw them out only when it actually began to inconvenience you and your wife personally. Really makes me wonder how much you were thinking about her welfare this whole time. NTA, you aren't putting them on the street. Their behavior isn't compatible with staying in your house. If they restrained themselves in any way, they would be welcome in your house. I mean, I wouldn't have entertained the possibility of someone who kicked out their gay child then staying in my place. But you went above and beyond, and they have abused that. As an aside, if they have been there for some period of time, they may qualify for rights as a tenant. Kicking them out without notice may be a legal issue for you and may require a formal eviction or some legal justification for removing them from your home. NTA for multiple reasons. You invited Rachel to the house when he decided he did not want to consider her his child anymore, and you showed her what a family should be like. OFC. She would say that you are the best family to her because that is exactly what you are to her. Your grandmother left the house to you, not him. It is your house, and you can let people stay, kick them out if you want to. Just because you all are blood family does not force you to keep him in your house. He and his children painted your house without permission, terrorized your pet, and ruined your other possessions. I'm surprised you didn't kick them out sooner. You did the right thing here to keep your family, including Rachel, safe. It is his own fault for doing the things he did and saying he would change without actually changing. I'm sure that those family members reaching out to you have the space for his children if they are actually that concerned.